Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating and incredibly practical source text titled The Architecture of Personal Agency. What we're unpacking today is a concept that fundamentally shapes your everyday reality, how your daily focus literally dictates whether you operate as a helpless victim or an empowered creator. We're going to look at how the architecture of your mindset is built, thought, by completely dissecting the core mechanics of human attention. Section 1, the questions of control. Let's evaluate your personal agency. To really get into this, the source text challenges us to look inward and ask three highly revealing questions. First up, are you focusing your mental energy on what you are missing in life or what you are having? Sounds simple enough, right? But our brains are actually hardwired by evolution to constantly scan for what's missing. It's a survival mechanism that automatically highlights deficits, potential threats, or lacking resources. So the text asks us to consciously confront this default setting. Think about it. When you face a challenge, do you automatically tally up the resources, opportunities, or advantages you lack, or do you actively anchor yourself in the present reality of what you already possess? Where your attention goes, your reality absolutely follows. And that sense of lack inevitably leads us to a second major vulnerability, fixating on the uncontrollable. Ask yourself, are you expending your energy on things you can actively control, or are you fixating on the things that you simply cannot? Our source text highlights this as a massive dividing line for personal agency. Imagine pouring all your mental bandwidth into worrying about macroeconomic trends, other people's opinions, or unpredictable market shifts. These are massive, complex systems that are completely indifferent to your anxiety. Investing your energy there guarantees a 0% return. The text pushes us to relentlessly ask ourselves whether we're focusing on our own immediate actions and responses, because those are entirely within our grasp. Finally, ask yourself honestly about where your mind actually lives. Is it constantly wandering into the past, anchored in the present, or projecting into the future? The text points out that our relationship with time is the ultimate pillar of this whole architecture. If you're constantly replaying old arguments, reliving past glories, or spiraling into anxiety about a future that hasn't even happened yet, you're abandoning the only space where you actually have leverage, right here, right now. These three pillars, focusing on lack, fixating on the uncontrollable, and mismanaging time, they combine to completely dictate your trajectory in life. Section 2, the victim mindset. Here is what happens when we focus on the negative. So when we start mapping out the consequences of these answers, the text outlines a psychological path that leads straight to total paralysis. If your focus is primarily on what's missing, things you can't control, and past events, it fundamentally degrades your emotional state. It's basically a perfect recipe for total inertia. Combining a deep sense of lack with a focus on immovable obstacles and a fixation on a past that can never ever be changed, that strips you of all agency. You are essentially building a mental cage for yourself, brick by brick, constructed entirely out of variables you have absolutely no power to alter. And the source material is highly specific about the outcome here. Directing your attention toward lack and the unchangeable past ensures you're going to feel helpless, useless, dependent, and utterly powerless. That is the definition of the victim mindset. But the crucial takeaway here is that this mindset isn't necessarily about what is actually happening to you externally. It is entirely about how the specific focus of your attention convinces your brain that you have no ability to affect your own life. By focusing on immovable barriers, your brain internalizes a state of learned helplessness, making you completely dependent on external circumstances to change before you feel you can move forward. But escaping this victimhood requires a dramatic pivot, right at this exact fork in the road. It means making a hard shift from fixating on what you're missing to a deep, honest recognition of what you actually have. You literally have to catch yourself in the act. When your brain starts listing off what is absent, you must consciously force it to list what is present. According to our source, this is not just some toxic positivity or a feel-good mantra. It's a structural psychological necessity. Think about it. You simply cannot build a strategy for moving forward using resources you don't have. You have to inventory what is currently available to you. Moving on to Section 3, the empowered mindset. Let's see how to reclaim that personal power. By actively shifting your attention toward what you already have, choosing to be resourceful, and working strictly on things you can control, you immediately begin to reclaim your personal agency. Choosing to be resourceful is the exact opposite of feeling useless. It's a dynamic, forward-moving state of mind that asks, okay, how can I use my current tools to affect what I actually control? The text emphasizes that resourcefulness isn't about having the best tools, it's about maximizing the utility of the tools at your immediate disposal. It forces your brain to switch from being a passive observer of problems to an active, engaged solver. This action-oriented focus creates a cascade of entirely new emotions. Instead of helplessness, the text states you will feel powerful, in control, strong, self-reliant, hopeful, and you'll actually allow yourself to develop faith. This is a massive psychological turnaround. By shrinking your focus down to your immediate sphere of influence, you basically guarantee yourself early wins. And those early wins build confidence and self-reliance. You completely transition from being a passenger in your own life to being the driver. And it all stems from answering those initial questions of focus with active intent rather than just a default reaction. Section 4. Mastering your timeline. This is really the key to personal agency. The text gives us a brilliantly strict formula for managing time to preserve this empowered mindset. It goes like this. Use yesterday solely to extract lessons. Work actively today in the present, and do this strictly to build a better tomorrow. The past is not a place to live, it's an archive. You go there to extract data, learn the lesson, and leave. The present is your workshop. It's the only place where you have actual physical and mental control to apply your resourcefulness. And the future, well, that's simply the architecture you are currently building through today's actions. Now, to protect this timeline, the source explicitly warns us we cannot afford to ponder over past events for long, nor should we overthink future events that are simply not in our control. Pondering the past breeds regret, which traps you right back in that cycle of helplessness we talked about. Overthinking an uncontrollable future breeds anxiety, which completely paralyzes your present actions. The text urges us to ruthlessly cut away these two specific thought patterns. And look, the psychological difficulty here is immense because our brains instinctively want to ruminate, to try and solve problems. But the source suggests we can achieve this break by immediately redirecting our focus to a tangible, physical task in the present moment, the second we catch ourselves drifting into the unchangeable past or the unpredictable future. As we wrap up this explainer, one thing is abundantly clear. The architecture of personal agency is not built by luck. It's built by moment-to-moment choices. So as you get back to your day, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Based on exactly where your focus is right now, what is the very next thing you are going to give your attention to? Are you picking up a brick to build your cage or the blueprint to build your future?